welcome to Movie Mondays. It's weird to think that this week is actually Christmas. And we'll soon have the new year upon us, of which it'll be an interesting start to the new year.
Yep.
As we're here.
Yeah, it will be.
But in any case, today we watched The Incredibles 2.
Mm-hmm. I was the only one who had actually seen this in full.
Yeah, I saw part of it.
And I saw none of it.
One scene.
Heard about one scene? Which one?
The raccoon.
Okay, that's what I thought.
The raccoon!
Yeah. Go ahead.
When I was watching it at my cousin, when we were watching the beginning part of my cousin's house, he was like, "Oh my god, the raccoon scene." I was like, "The raccoon scene?" He's like, "You'll see. Don't worry."
Yeah. Yep. Yeah, so I saw this in theaters shortly after it came out. I don't remember exactly. I think probably the second weekend or something. After I first saw it, I remember I was like, "Oh my god, I love this so much! Like, I might like this like even more than the original." I was like so over the moon with it. But then I kind of thought about it more, and then I was like, actually, there are some problems and things I don't like as much. So I was kind of curious to see it again, and I was like, what do I think about it? And my basic thought is that I do think the problems that were there are still there, but I don't think they're as problematic as I was thinking they were.
Okay.
Which were the problems that you...
The big one, and this is one that everyone says, is that the villain's kind of lame.
That I can agree with. Especially compared to the first film.
Yeah.
I don't think you can ever top Syndrome.
No.
Yeah, especially because they didn't do, who's, the mystery villain. I mean, they do it, the very beginning for the first film, but, who Syndrome is by the halfway point, completely.
Yeah.
So, where here, they definitely try, who is it? And it's it's really easy to tell.
Yeah.
So, and even then, it doesn't really make any sense. Because,
Yeah.
the whole thing is that, our dad, relied on superheroes and, they didn't save him or whatever. And it's but wait, you said earlier that he tried to call for them after the law was passed to force them into hiding.
Yeah.
So it's what you should wait. So your brother's totally right. That I'm wait a minute, it doesn't make any sense. And I guess look, I'm not saying that a villain's motivations have to necessarily make sense, because that's one of the things that if it's done well, a villain who's just completely wrong, it can actually be really interesting. But it's just kind of not done that way. And again, as a personality, she's just not that interesting. So
I kind of felt like the movie was trying to make you dislike her brother, but I felt fine with him.
Yeah, he's fine.
Yeah, he's an annoying rich person, but he's not mean or he's not bad. He's just kind of pushy. That's it.
Yeah. And
I mean, when they first introduced the both of them, I was like, okay, one of them is probably going to be the villain and stuff like that. So, and then after you see them for a little bit, it's, as Rowland said, it's pretty obvious. But I liked Vin.
Yeah.
I liked him.
And and again, but at the same time, so that's the main thing. And then I've heard that just the story is not as solid and cohesive. It's a little bit scattered. It's not like everything kind of comes together or whatever. And that's kind of true, but at the same time, I feel like the focus isn't so much on here is the plot for this specific issue of Mr. Incredible's thing where he wants to kind of break free and deal with Syndrome. It's more just here's the family and then therefore also the superhero society as a whole just dealing with shit. Right?
Yeah.
And so if you think of it that way, again, it's is it kind of scattered? Sure, but I don't think that's really makes it bad, right?
Yeah.
It's kind of so for me it's it's not as good as the first, but the first is really good. So it's okay, because I do think that is something that I've seen people say where it's if there's a sequel or something that is does something that's not as good as the previous one, people say that it's bad, and it's well, no, that's not true. It doesn't mean it's bad, right? So
yeah.
I mean not not as good doesn't mean bad. It just means not as good.
Right.
Yeah.
There's ranges of
it's
good.
It's still a pretty good movie.
Yeah,
it's just
for
not
sure.
Yeah.
an awesome movie.
Yeah, and the
Or
action.
like,
Hmm?
yeah. No. You can go.
Well, and like the only thing, well, I don't know the thing, but like, the thing that I do kind of, there's a lot of moments in this movie that are cool, or a lot of ideas that are cool, that I do feel like they should have spent a bit more time on them.
Mm-hmm.
Like the only thing that I feel like is developed in a way where I actually think, okay, this is interesting and it's handled well and it feels complete, is really actually the stuff with Jack. Because that, you know, they go through the whole thing of like realizing he has powers, then like, oh shit, what do we do with this, and trying to solve the problem, and then they actually use his powers at the end on the ship, right? And it's like, okay,
Yeah.
that's completely full. So that's no problem whatsoever. And you get, you know, the raccoon thing and other stuff along the way. So it's entertaining, it's impactful, blah blah blah. Mr. Incredible's like journey with that in terms of trying to deal with the family stuff, that's kind of related to that, and also how he deals with like Violet and Dash, and that's fine. I don't like, it does feel a little bit like on the side, kind of. But again, it's not bad, and since there is other stuff going on, it's sort of like, you know, you need some stuff on the side, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But like, again, the villain plot, and then also the one thing that I'm legitimately kind of disappointed at is that like they really don't do that much with all the new superhero characters. Now, granted, it's the focus of the movie is still on the family, right?
Yeah.
And it should be. So it's kind of about. I just think back to like how I said this when we watched the first one. There needs to be a show.
Yeah.
Because I'm like, especially now, you have a bunch of new characters now, which now that at least we know who they are, you can actually like do stuff with them and have them do their own things, and like, like the show now would be, and especially at least with the plot of this now is like, hey, look, superheroes are legal again. You can totally go full in with a show now of like, hey, it's all legal, it's all out in the open. Let's just go nuts with all this random shit we can do. So, yeah, I really hope that's a thing, but I don't believe I've heard anything about it. Is there even like anything like? I mean, again, it's very early. This came out, you know, a year and a half ago.
Yeah.
I'm just curious if there is any talk about like a third movie or a show or anything. Actually, curious. Let's find out. I wouldn't be surprised if there's nothing at the moment, but let's see.
Possible sequel.
Okay, basically just saying like a third movie is possible, but no plan at the moment, which is fair, right?
Yeah.
I do think the show, because the structure of a show allows for more of an exploration of like side characters than of a movie. So that's kind of my
and
main
you
thing.
can have like dedicated episodes to each character, even within the family too.
Right, yeah. Although I do think that what's nice about this film is that it does feel like you're getting more into like the family. Because the first one, it is a bit more of like Mr. Incredible is the main character, right? Here, I don't think you can say that.
Nah.
There isn't.
Yeah.
But at the same time, you can't really say like Elastigirl's the main character either. So, yeah, it's an interesting mix of kind of everything. So that works pretty well. A lot of the action stuff, like I think some really creative and interesting things. But I just kind of wish there was a little bit more. Like the main thing for me is the stuff with Elastigirl on the bike. Like that's really cool, and I like what they do with it. But it's just that one scene, and then it's over, and it's just like, oh, I wanted to see more of that. So.
Oh, actually, speaking of that, the lighting for this movie was really cool.
Oh, yeah.
Like the lighting and colors.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I know for the first film we pointed that out, but they really, like, took what the first film had and, like, definitely, like, updated it and, like, made it even more, like, fantastical and stuff like that.
Yeah. Yeah, you can definitely see the improvements.
Mm-hmm.
So that's good. The animation in general is just, you know, still really solid.
Yeah.
And,
I mean, you can see the, like, for Mr. Incredible, you can see his wrinkles and black eyes and everything.
How tired and haggard he looks.
I was also looking, like, at Elastigirl's hair. Like, it's like, it's like floofy. I don't know. But yeah, and there's a lot of, again, technically it's very impressive. Yeah, I don't really. To me, this is basically. I don't think anything is done in this like particularly bad. Even the villain, who I don't think is like great, is still just kind of like okay. So yeah, I do not think this is as good as the first one, like I kind of was at the first saying, but I have seen people say this is like a legitimately bad movie, and I'm like, no, that it's not. So I am a little unsure about my rating at the moment. I don't know. I think I know what I want to go for, but I don't know if there's anything else to mention.
I guess, what would you rank the first film?
I would give it a low 10.
Alone?
Okay.
What does that even mean, dude?
Well, there's a difference. Like, you know, it's between... it's not my favorite thing of all time, but, like, I really, really like it, and for what it does, I think it doesn't do anything wrong.
Okay.
Yeah, so, like, to me, it's kind of comparable to Spider-Verse, actually. It excels differently, right, in different things. Spider-Verse is more of a visual experience, but this is a bit more of, like, the character interactions. But, yeah, so I kind of say it as, like, a low 10.
I would also probably give the original one a 10.
I'm probably somewhere between like the highest 9 and the lowest 10, so I'm not 100% sure.
Yeah, well, it is fair to kind of like, where do you draw the line for, you know, what you consider a full-on 10, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, that's how I really, really like the first one. Is there anything else you want to talk about, or should I go into what I think I want to give my rating for this?
I just really like the scene where Bob goes to Edna and just drops Jack off,
Oh, yeah.
and she's just like, I hate babies, and then after he comes back, I love this baby!
Yeah.
My favorite human.
I still can't get over that she's voiced by Brad Bird.
I know,
I'm just
right?
like, I want to just like see like a video of him like doing the voice.
What faces does he make with that accent?
Yeah, I know.
Please include in the extras.
Yeah.
There are
Alright.
some character voices in other things too where I'm like, I don't know why I remember this, but I've seen a video of the voice actor for fucking Bentley from Sly Cooper, and just seeing that dude with Bentley's voice is so funny to me. It's just hilarious because it's like this really weird kind of voice that like I'm like, it's one of those voices where, at least especially how I was introduced to it through, you know, the character, like I can't like imagine the voice coming out of a person. So seeing this dude doing the voice, I'm just like, oh my god, I can't handle this. So I'm just like feeling, I'm feeling like
voice
this.
acting is a very unique thing.
Yeah, I'm feeling like that would be very similar for
Edna.
yeah, but anyway, ratings.
Look at the list.
I can give my
Okay.
verdict. So the first one I gave a low 10. I'm gonna give this one a low 9.
Okay.
I do think this, because again, it's the same characters and a lot of similar theming, and like the, you know, the music, animation, all of that kind of carried over, and some of it, like the animation, improved from the last one. So even if like I think the story is maybe not quite as good and the villain's not quite as good, the other stuff that's still there holds it up significantly. So yeah, I'm confident in saying that I still give this a low 9. Yeah.
Okay, so the thing I'm like going back and forth on is I really did not like the villain because, man, I'm really hard to convince with mind control plots because, you know, like I think the method was really interesting, you know, using hypnosis in a different way, but I just felt like she was so lame.
Yeah, because
Like,
the thing is, like, the whole thing with it, I do fully say that it's kind of lame, and like the main thing about like the sort of message that is said, at least early on, is like, oh, you know, you're all like stuck in your screens and you need other people to depend on you or whatever, and it's like, that kind of doesn't like actually mean anything with like the main character's goal. It's like, well, I guess it's supposed to be like, oh, you're linked in, you know, you're relying on the superheroes to save you, not helping yourself. It's like, okay, but how does this link to like people on cell phones bad, right? Like, it's just like, wait, so that's, yeah, it is kind of a weird thing where it's like,
I just felt like her character was so heavy-handed. I was so happy when like he jumped out of the craft and was like, fuck you, I'm gonna go free the people.
yeah.
I'm out of here. I was like, you're the real hero in this situation, dude.
Yeah, so again, I don't think the villain's like that. Granted, I don't think she's horrible, but she's not very good. But like, to me, because the story actually is a bit more scattered, there's not as much of a focus on the villain, so it doesn't bother me as much as it would if like Syndrome was bad, right?
Yeah.
That wouldn't make it worse for me. So that's my justification as to why this is like a 9 over an 8, but I can see it affecting you more another way or whatever. So yeah.
Yeah, because then my flip side is like I liked especially Bob's arc and like his interaction with Violet in particular. I thought that was very strong, and I also just like the fact that they actually brought back Edna and Frozone in like a very significant part, because Frozone got kind of cheated in the last movie.
Yeah,
not gonna lie.
That's true.
And then Edna,
that's true. They were kind of introduced in a natural way too. It's not like, oh yeah, we need to include these people and we'll just throw them in.
Yeah.
So I really liked that stuff, because like then you really see how much like Frozone is a family friend, and then like Edna's a family friend, and then even what's his name, Dicker? He's also a family friend.
It's a terrible name, by the way, but you know.
Yeah. I did read up that his original voice actor died, so this movie is actually in his memory. So. I really like those interactions, so that's why I'm kind of like on that weird scale right now of like, do I give it this number or do I like give it this number based on was the villain so like more infuriatingly lame or like infuriatingly heavy-handed, or did I just really like how especially Bob and Violet, they handled their arcs? So I
think hearing your thing, I have settled with giving it a high 9, actually.
Oh, interesting.
Because I like the character interactions and stuff like that. That's kind of what makes the movie for me. And then it's also like a family movie, which is not something you usually see. Like, I feel like if like other studios were handling this, they would have probably like added more drama or like emphasized more of like Violet's romance and stuff like that. But it actually focused more on like parenting and stuff like that, which I found really interesting. So I'm giving it a high 9.
Yeah, which does not help me because
I'm guessing you're stuck between a 9 and an 8.
Yeah. That's what I'm stuck between, because I'm kind of also thinking of like, well, I liked Bob's development. I wasn't super crazy about like Helen's story. I mean, it was fine. I didn't have a problem with it. I just felt like she had more going for her in the first movie, which is weird to say because like in this case she's doing the actual heroing for like most of the movie, so I don't know.
It's probably just because that she is the one who, at least especially in the first half, is the one linked in with the actual villain story.
I feel like it's not even quite that. It's also kind of like, I don't know, I just felt like she reacted kind of weird with the other heroes, but I don't know. It could just be like me thinking that, but I think
just looking at your what you've rated other things.
Oh yeah, I should do that. That's a good idea.
Oh my god. Let's see, you have for 9s you have Die Hard, Children of Men, and Coraline, and for 8s you have Paranorman, Boy and the Beast, and Holes.
Holes. I think maybe in the end I'll probably also go with a 9, because I think what I said about like Bob in particular, I think his storyline actually was the strongest for me. I just really I appreciate how it shows like him trying to adjust to just being a normal parent, because he was the one working before. He was the one with the dead-end job, which I can relate to. And then now he's like kind of trying to change his life, which I'm also relating to right now. Basically, I'm Bob. I just don't have kids.
You have Sora, does that count?
Maybe, yeah,
Isn't
probably
isn't that your kid, Tara?
Yeah, but she's over enough.
And I guess, like, yeah, I kind of relate to Bob being kind of beaten down by life and just kind of being tired and, wanting a bit more. So, yeah.
Okay.
Bob. The best day ever!
Like that SpongeBob song.
So, well, that, I guess.
Yep.
Merry Christmas. Mai is now not mentally constipated anymore. But,
Oh, wait, we have to choose the new one, right?
Hold on. No, we don't.
Oh, true.
We have things coming.
Prizes.
So, we'll take this 1 week at a time. We got a couple interesting things coming up here, but the first thing is next week, which will be December 30th, the second to last day of the decade.
Yes.
Which is very weird to think about. We are not going to do what everyone else is doing and do like a best of the decade thing because no.
No, even though we technically have the repertoire in terms of what was the highlight of the thing, we don't really want to deal with that.
Yeah.
If
Also,
you want to look at the decade, just look at the recaps of each of the 300 movie challenge
right, exactly.
and just deal with that instead.
Yeah. So we're not gonna do that, especially because I feel like I was kind of like not paying any attention for like most of the decade for a lot of stuff. So
yes.
Yeah, I think going over the whole decade is kind of beyond us at this point. But we are going to talk about the year. So next Monday will be a probably very long, but we will try our best to not have it be like 18 hours long. Discussion
for my sake.
Yeah,
and my sake too.
Yeah, discussion on stuff that we've seen and what we think about in 2019. Now, of course, we have already seen lots of movies in 2019 through both these Movie Mondays and also the last half of the 300 Movie Challenge stuff. So we're not going to talk about any of that again, because you can just find out what we thought about those. But we are instead going to talk about stuff that we've kind of seen outside of that. Mainly, so movies, of course, also some shows. I have a lot to talk about for that. I've seen like 15 shows this year, so I'll try to be quick, but I have kind of a lot to say. And we're also going to talk about, well, basically like the one game that we've actually played a lot of this year. So, yeah.
Hopefully me and Mai will be done by that when we do the discussion.
Okay, you can tell me your progress after we're done with this. But, so, yeah, there's that. If anyone has been following Twitter stuff, I have been posting kind of what I've thought of in terms of my music tastes for this year. So I'm going to continue to do that up until also the 30th, and then the 31st, so next Tuesday, I'm going to actually put together a video of myself of what I think are my favorite music albums of the year. So, yeah, I know that's like super, super subjective, but I just wanted to do it as something, because I haven't really like done a music thing like that before, so that's my thing. But yeah, and then so that's kind of what's going on for next week. And we'll save what we're going to be doing for 2020 then.
Yeah.
We're not going to tell you.
We'll talk about it later.
All right. Bye, everyone. Merry Christmas.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, Merry Christmas. Happy Kwanzaa. I think Hanukkah's passed now.
I don't even know.
I think so. Happy holidays.
Yes.
Happy holidays. Don't hunt, please.
What?
Boxing Day.
Oh. Okay.
Yeah. Don't hunt.
Just like, I know it's Christmas, but don't go out and shoot the deer just yet. It's like, what?
Boxing Day.
Okay.
That's a thing. It's not a thing here in the States, but it's a thing.
Okay. Don't I don't know what else to say.
Don't drink and
Don't
drive.
have fire. Don't leave your fireplaces on
Yeah.
with fire inside. I don't know.
Yeah, actually, so for 2020, we're going to turn to a PSA channel.
We're gonna make infomercials.
Oh god.
Remember,
Oh my
kids, you can't lead a horse to water, but you can make him shit in the woods.
So yeah, happy holidays and good night.
Bye.